was that we have not yet seen a reset in the U.S.-India relationship. This decision to impose high fees on the H1-B visa program, it's another indication that the relationship is still in a bad state. India, quite some time ago, accepted the fact that the U.S. and Pakistan would have a friendly relationship. With President Trump, you always know you're going to get something memorable. And indeed, it was a very memorable speech. It was extremely undiplomatic. It was at times seemingly rambling, didn't appear to make much sense. But, there were several things that stood out, and one of them was his decision to once again blame India for sponsoring Russia's war in Ukraine. And, of course, this comes not long after he had his brief phone call with Prime Minister Modi to wish him a happy birthday. So, to me, that the takeaway for me from that speech, among others, was that we have not yet seen a reset in the U.S.-India relationship. I've been saying for quite some days that the path to any type of reset in the relationship, the path to stabilizing this relationship and moving away from the crisis, is to have a trade deal. And so I think it is significant that even with tensions as high as they've been, we have continued to have trade talks in recent days, and there's no reason to think that those talks are going to stop anytime soon. If we get a deal, which won't be easy, but if we do get a trade deal, that would be a big confidence building measure. It would restore some trust in the relationship, and it would also reduce what has really been one of the biggest tension points in the relationship during this crisis, and that's the very high U.S. tariffs that have been imposed on India. It's another indication, this decision to impose high fees on the H1-B visa program, it's another indication that the relationship is still in a bad state, even after we had that phone call between Trump and Modi. And I think that, the H1-B visa issue is very significant for the relationship because, it's contributed in a big way to broader commercial relations, and it has really bolstered people-to-people ties. And it also, I think, has been a big part of the tech partnership between the U.S. and India, given that you have a number of Indian tech companies that have benefited from this program and the workers that are in the U.S. on that program. And given that we have heard previously the Biden administration and more recently early on in the second Trump administration, an emphasis on how technology is one of the main pillars for this new phase in U.S.-India relations. But if we're going to have these steps that make it much more difficult for Indian tech workers to be based in the United States, well, that would represent a pretty significant blow to U.S.-India tech relations. As we know, India quite some time ago accepted the fact that the U.S. and Pakistan would have a friendly relationship, including a friendly military relationship. But, clearly now, this resurgence in U.S.-Pakistan ties has become a tension point in U.S.-India relations just because there's so many other bad things happening in U.S.-India relations. And also, the U.S.-Pakistan relationship has really increased very quickly in very big ways, particularly the timing having come, these major improvements in the relationship having come so soon after the India-Pakistan conflict. And if it is true that Prime Minister Sharif goes to Washington to meet with President Trump, well, that would be, I think, the latest indication of just how far this relationship has come. I'm not aware that visit has been confirmed, but it is indeed has been reported by the Pakistani media. Honestly, after the meeting between President Trump and Field Marshal Munir, anything that comes after that would not be as significant, given how powerful Munir is. But I think that a Sharif visit with Trump would reflect that you continue to have momentum in the U.S.-Pakistan relationship, and I suspect that the two leaders would have a lot of things to talk about, whether, bilateral cooperation between the U.S. and Pakistan, counterterrorism cooperation, critical minerals opportunities, or broader regional and global issues like the situation in the Middle East. It's a game changer, right? And I think that it's significant for India in the sense that India, of course, has its own very close relationship with Saudi Arabia. And also, given the history of relations between India and Pakistan, there certainly is a chance that sometime in the future, India will attack Pakistan. And, because of these terrorism concerns and the past precedent, it's a mutual defense pact between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. I don't think that we should overstate the impact of that pact on India. Saudi Arabia has a strong relationship with India. It's not going to let this pact get in the way of Saudi-India relations. But, the fact that Pakistan now has a formal institutionalized alliance with Saudi Arabia, even as it continues to pursue its very strong partnerships with China and Turkey and other Arab Gulf states, as well as this resurgence in ties with the U.S., Pakistan has really, I think, been able to resurrect and fortify a lot of its alliances. And I think that poses some new challenges for India, which, at the end of the day, continues to be in a good place on its own. It can bank on its close partnerships with its partners in Europe, with Israel, with other key players in the Middle East, and with Russia, of course. But, I think that, because this has formally enshrined Pakistan in the security architecture of the Middle East, that's important for India, given how important the Middle East is to India's own strategic interests. That's an immutable relationship between the U.S. and Israel. I don't think there's much that's going to change that. And I think that what we're seeing now is a reaction by some countries in the West to do something that many of Israel's rivals wish they had done a lot sooner. So I wouldn't actually overstate the significance of this recent move to recognize the state of Palestine. It's just been so much back and forth for the last few months. And we had that big push from the Trump administration to get Russia to stop fighting. It hasn't really worked. But I think it's encouraging that you have Zelensky saying that he's ready to talk. And clearly that's something that Trump wants to do. That continues to be one of his core foreign policy goals, is to try to mediate some type of end to the war, or at least some type of ceasefire. It seems like now he's looking for a comprehensive peace accord, and we'll see what happens over these days here in New York if you can have some of these top leaders start discussing more prospects for beginning some type of peace process. Though I'm not optimistic. I really don't think Russia has any intention of stopping fighting anytime soon.
In a world where business never stops, Mint keeps you ahead, any screen, anytime, from studios to the ground.
Mint is doing brilliantly well. It's a well-read page, I would think.
Mint breaks down business, leadership, and lifestyle, boldly, visually, and smartly. From boardrooms to markets, from personal wealth to industry trends, we bring you the insights that matter. What fuels India's biggest CEOs? Ride along and find out. Want to invest like the pros? Learn from India's top market experts. Your money, your future. We make finance simple. Step inside breathtaking homes and the creative minds behind them. India's real estate scene decoded. No jargon, no fluff. Some chase success, others create it. Meet the ones who made the impossible possible. We don't just talk business, we show it. And the world's watching.